Thank you guys for being here. Wow. Oh, I just want to look at all your faces. My cousin Yana is here. Wow, look at this. This is so great. Fausia, hi. Del, Laura, wow. Wow, both my sisters are here. My husband and my daughter are here. Suzanne, hi Betty. Hi Jonelle. Hi Edie. Hi Irene. Hi Connie. Hi Beverly. Oh, this is great. Hi Ronnie. Who did I miss? I want to see everybody. Janet, wow, nice to see you. Hi, Cindy. Hi, Nancy. Hi, Charmaine. This is great. Okay, so thank you all for being here. This is wonderful. It's so nice to see your faces. I've got just got a view of all of you on my screen. When I was looking over the list of registrants, I noticed that some of my longtime friends are coming. She Writes Press authors, thank you for being here. My mastermind, 3P Mastermind Writers Group friends are here. Students and clients, if they're not here now, they probably will be later. Scripps College friends, high school friends. Janet Zafe, I haven't seen you in years. We were friends in grade school. So this is just really wonderful. Fantastic, I love it. So thanks for being here. I'm gonna turn it over to Kelsey. She's our tech person. She's organizing this. She's waving her hand, and she's just gonna explain how this is gonna work. And then we're gonna launch in and debut the film trailer and get into the conversation with Brooke.
Thank you, Bella. Hi, everybody. My name is Kelsey Sukent. It's easier to say than it is to spell on the last name there. But I'm your tech support for the evening. If you need anything at all, you're having some trouble, you can find me in the chat box. I'm going to say hello to everybody in the chat box now. So you'll see that kind of flash up on your screen. That's how you can reach me. That's also where we're going to be taking questions for Q&A later in the session. So going through the program for this evening, we're going to have an opportunity for the debut of Bella's book trailer. We're going to have some discussion between Bella and her good friend, Brooke Warner. We're going to talk about the book, get your questions and answers, and then we have some very important, exciting raffle prizes, including a book about a hammock and a hammock itself. So stick around for that. We'll be drawing those names at random from all the registrants, and make sure you get your questions in the chat. We're keeping track of those, so don't feel like you have to wait. They pop up, get them out there on the screen. And then, as always, we want to support Bella in this great adventure that she's done and congratulate her. This is an evening to celebrate. And usually at an event like this, you get an opportunity to purchase the book and have it signed by the author. In the COVID age, we have to get a little bit more creative. So Bella has these great custom book plates. She's holding one up right now. They're designed to match the book. And if you purchase the book because of this evening's event, shortly after, during, what have you, just let us know. You can let us know in the chat. You can reach out after the event and we'll get you a signed book plate for your book. So you still get your autographed signed copy. We just got a little creative there. So I am going to turn things over to Bella and to Brooke to get into the meat and potatoes. But first, Bella, are you ready to debut? We're going to
debut the trailer. I just want to give a shout out to Fausia Burke and Anna Saka. If Anna's here, I don't know if she's here. Wave if you are. This is my publicity team, FSB Associates, and oh my goodness, did I say that right? FSB? Yes. Okay. They're great. They've just been doing a great job. I just want to say thank you to them, and also thank you, Fausia. I saw that, and I also want to say thank you to John Crane and David Burke of 1028 Avenue P Productions, because they created this film that you're about to see.
Awesome. So we've got some questions coming into the box already, Bella. How would you like people to purchase your book? What link would you like them to use? Right from your website?
Sure. They can go to my website. Absolutely. And they can actually buy it wherever books are sold. If it's not in your local bookstore, they can order it for you. You can go to wherever you like to buy books and you can buy it. Right, Brooke?
Absolutely.
Awesome. So I just put a link to Bella's website in the chat for you guys. Go ahead and buy that book up. Let's get this launch off with a bang. All right. So I'm going to pivot here for just a moment, and we're going to share the debut trailer.
Would you like to bring some peace of mind into your writing life? Is your writing career unfolding according to your dreams and expectations? Would you like to know how to create success from the inside out? Where do you hang your hammock?
Well, congratulations, Bella. Thank you for letting us debut that here for the first time. If everybody gets a chance, you should look at your reactions button in the toolbar and give her a round of applause with your reactions, a little heart eyes maybe. And we're going to turn this over. I'm going to spotlight Brooke and let them take away the show here.
Kelsey, will you save the chat box for me?
I absolutely will.
Great, thank you. Okay, there she is. Yay. Hi, Brooke.
Hello, congratulations.
Thank you so much. I am going to introduce Brooke to all of you. I know Brooke very well. I'm going to start by reading her bio, and then I'm going to say a couple of other things. Brooke Warner is publisher of She Writes Press and Spark Press, president of Warner Coaching, Inc., and author of Write On Sisters, Greenlight Your Book, What's Your Book, and 3 books on memoir. Brooke is a TEDx speaker, weekly podcaster of Right Minded with co-host Grant Faulkner of NaNoWriMo, and the former executive editor of Seal Press. She writes a monthly column for Publishers Weekly. So that is her bio. And I wanted to say a couple of things about Brooke. 10 years ago, I had 5 projects in my file cabinet that were going nowhere. And I desperately longed to complete a book project, and I just couldn't do it. And I found Brooke. She happened to have been at that time working at Seal Press, which was had been a favorite press of mine for years. I love their books. And to find out, all these years later that, to find out at that time that Brooke actually acquired those books, I just knew this was a special relationship. So for 10 years, Brooke has been my mentor, my goddess figure, my teacher, my editor, my coach, my publisher. Yeah. And I'm going to end with one thing. Any of you who have participated in my literary salons know that when I introduce the people who are reading, I beforehand, I think of 5 adjectives to describe them. And I don't really think about it with my head. I just kind of drop down and I just receive the words. And with Brooke, lots of adjectives started to come. And I actually have 6. And the 6 adjectives that I chose to explain, or just to express what I feel when I think of Brooke, is fierce, loyal, loving, creative, brilliant, and kind.
Thank you, Bella. My goodness, what a gorgeous introduction to me on your launch event day. And I'm so thrilled. And I'm going to read your formal bio because I am, and then I want to say some personal remarks as well. So I believe everyone here knows Bella, and she is a creative writing teacher, empowerment coach, a speaker who believes in the power of writing to heal and transform lives. She views publishing and book promotion as an opportunity to deepen self-awareness, nourish meaningful connections, and delight in peak experiences while being of service, which is exactly what this book is about. She's the author of 3 books: Where Do You Hang Your Hammock? The new one, Finding Peace of Mind While You Write, Publish, and Promote Your Book. Her award-winning memoir, Raw, My Journey from Anxiety to Joy. And then her poetry collection, Secrets of My Sex. Bella has helped hundreds of writers experience greater freedom, joy, and peace of mind. She holds degrees in literature, film, and spiritual psychology. Her writing has appeared in dozens of print and online journals, and then her website is bellamahayacarter.com. So that is, that's the overview. And I would love to piggyback on our personal story, because I remember really well when you got in touch with me, because you were a bit of a SEAL fan. And so I was like, oh, great, you know, that's exciting. And we worked very hard for a long time on the book that eventually became Raw, your memoir. And over all these years, I mean, the main thing that I want to say thank you to you for is your generosity. I mean, the way that you show up in the community is so indicative of your values. I mean, I just have these images of you at all of these events we've been to together and author retreats. And I mean, just the way you show up, I absolutely, those words of service are so true. And I think that, you know, there are a lot of amazing authors at She Writes Press, and it's an incredible community. And you're one that just always stands out as wanting to be connected, help other authors with their process. So many times people have said, oh, well, I've been in communication with Bella. And I love to hear that, because it makes me feel like, oh, you know, like, okay, good. Then you're going to be getting the information and support that you need. And so that is, you know, I see us together also just having so much synergy in the work that we do. And so I'm thrilled to be able to be in conversation with you today. And I'm so excited about your second book with She Writes and your 3rd book in the world. So 3rd book, baby, here we are.
Thank you, Brooke. I don't know that I'd be here without you. So thank you.
Oh my gosh. Well, it's my great pleasure and honor. So let's talk about the origins of this book, because the origins of Raw were you really wanted to publish a memoir, and we worked on that together. And then this book has a bit of a different origin story, which I think is its own inspiring thing. And I'd love to hear you talk about when you knew it was a book, how you worked on it over many years, and then ultimately how you shaped it from being both blog posts and new pieces to you know, just figure out what this new book was going to be.
Yeah, I want to just take a second and say that when I reached out to you, I didn't know which project I wanted to work on. I had 5 projects, and you gave me some of the best advice that I've ever received. And I have given this to countless writers ever since. And what you said to me was, it doesn't matter what you choose. It doesn't matter. Just pick something and stick with it until it's finished. And that was the best advice. And so I picked the memoir, and we were off with that. That took 5 years, you know, that writing process took 5 years. This book was completely different. I don't remember when, but at some point you said to me, you know, you want to turn your blog, you could turn your blog into a book. And I really didn't have any idea why that would be a good thing to do. I'm like, well, it's on my blog, you know. And then after Raw came out, I had this hammock experience, which I describe in the introduction to this book. And I thought, you know, well, maybe that is a good idea, because it's not gut wrenching, this project, in the way that the memoir was. Maybe it's something that I can just kind of do in between serious books. And I took a look at my blog posts, and I realized that I had, I don't know, close to 200 blog posts. And I thought, this is interesting. I discovered that they all seem to fit into one, not all of them, but the majority of them seem to fit into one of 5 categories: dream, nourish, write, publish, and promote. And so I started shuffling and just putting things, in different categories. And then I put them all together and I realized, wow, well, that doesn't work as a book. You can't just string blog posts together and have a book. There needs to be a unifying principle. There was a lot of redundancy. There were big holes. So I just went about, cutting the stuff that was redundant and filling in the holes. And it was actually pretty effortless. And in about 2 or 3 weeks of being on this process, 8 hours a day, just like hardly doing anything else, the book just came into being. And so it felt really effortless and it was very easy to do, but I was drawing on 10 years worth of writing. And what I discovered is that there's something magical that happens when you organize 10 years worth of thinking about how do you maintain peace of mind as an artist, as a creative writer. There's something magical that happens when it's organized thematically rather than chronologically. And in fact, the work took on the whole became larger than the parts. It became something bigger that I didn't expect.
And I remember that it really did seem to just fall into place once you started working on it in that way. And the other thing I wanted to talk about and just acknowledge is your own evolution from writer to supporter of other writers. I mean, you'd always had the salon, you had been a coach, but like there was this, I've witnessed this in the last, I think with this book even more so, you coming into your own space to support people with publishing and letting go of some of the pressure cooker aspect that goes along with being an author. And I would love for you to share your own journey with that, because I remember a much angstier version of you 10 years ago. And I think you've really walked your talk, and that this book is such a landing in truth of where you've gotten to in your own journey.
Wow. That's a huge question. I love it. It's huge. 10 years ago, I'll just say that 5 years ago, as many of you know, we had 5 family deaths in 3 years. I was executor of my mom's estate. It was a contentious estate, and I developed an anxiety disorder. And I was literally afraid to leave my house. And my doctor really, he was willing to prescribe medication. And at times I took it and I was grateful for it. But I also sensed that this ailment, that this problem I was having, which was hideous, I sensed that it was an opportunity and an opportunity for growth. And so I dug in to a lot of psychospiritual work and learned that my thinking was creating it was creating the disease that I was experiencing. And it was creating all of the insecurity that I was experiencing around being a writer. And so what I discovered was that I'm actually not my thoughts, like that I'm something larger than my thinking. And that even though I have thoughts, it doesn't mean that I am my thoughts. And knowing that, it's taken some time. It's taken like 5 years and I still get tripped up. I still get hijacked by my thinking sometimes. But what I've learned is, oops, I'm sorry, I'm having a technical thing. But what I've learned is that is not how to control my thinking, because I can't control thoughts that come into my mind, but I have a different relationship with it. And I'm not ruled by it anymore. So all that old thought about not being good enough, and other thoughts that were sabotaging my efforts, they still show up, but I know they're not the truth.
Yeah. And I'm going to keep on this vein, because I think that part of your personal journey with your writing has been I mean, I know because I've been with you along the way, you know, kind of letting go of some of these, you know, big, ambitious, you know, I'm going to publish with whoever, you know, Random House or Penguin. And so many authors have that big dream. And we're both intimately familiar with it, you know, and we're both immersed in indie publishing. And this book really feels like it's about the value of writing what you love and what you're here to do. And that again is how you support authors. And it's why I said I have such peace of heart, not just mind. You know, when authors say, oh, I talked to Bella, I'm like, great. You know, it just is this sense like you're going to take care of them emotionally, as well as, you know, some of the angsty head stuff that we get into as authors with our expectations. So that is a lot of what this book is about. And I thought you could talk about the publishing part. I liked Liz Crack's blurb in your trailer that says like, this is a fickle industry, you know, and if you put your value onto the outcome, it's such a huge problem. And you're really addressing that in this book. So could you say more about that?
Yeah, I have so much I want to say about this. And I say a lot about this. I talk about this a lot in the book. Years ago, I marveled at the fact that you said that you had no problem self-publishing your books on She Writes Press. You weren't looking for a traditional publishing situation. And I marveled at that because I understood the level of self-confidence that required. And I knew at that time that I didn't have it. And so that was the first thing that drew me to you, is that I realized, wow, she's not waiting for anybody to say yes to her. She's saying yes to herself. And that's amazing. And I think that artists in other industries do that much more readily. I mean, you see crowdfunding for films, and in the music industry, indie music, you know, some of the most exciting music is indie music and indie film. And I think that you've paved the way in publishing for that. I'm so impressed with the She Writes Press authors and I can't even, we have a She Writes Press author group on Facebook, and just the level of intelligence and creativity and expertise. I mean, these women are amazing. It's just remarkable. And so for me, what I discovered is it's so great to just to answer the call. You know, when you're called to write, if you don't write, or to do any art for that matter, if you have the call and you don't say yes, I don't know. I mean, for me, that really wasn't an option. I couldn't not say yes. So for me, it's just been liberating. And now I don't attach my worth or my value to how many books I sell, to how I'm published, to how people respond to me. I show up, I do what's in my heart to do, which is to share what I see and my creative process, and then just let it land where it lands. And I understand that nobody is better than me and nobody is less than me. We're all the same.
Just like those 5 projects.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, no, exactly. I thought it'd be fun for you to tell the condensed version of the Hammock story, because I think it gives context to the book. It's such a powerful metaphor. And the cover, you know, we don't have to go through like the step by step, the blow by blow of what happened with the cover, but what you ended up with is so powerful. And you've had some production speed bumps with both books, and so I thought it'd just be fun for you to share an anecdote, you know, about your cover process.
Yeah. Oh, about the cover process, or about
just about how we landed with this one.
Yeah, that's another thing that I have loved about She Writes Press, is that I went to film school. I have like a visual aesthetic, and so I loved being able to participate in the creation of what the book looks like visually. That's been really fun. But also, I've liked having you, because you've been an editor for a long time and you know what a book cover is supposed to look like. And so I've loved having, you know, the professional guidance, and then also my feedback is considered. And so that was great. With the book cover, I had read a book by Dani Shapiro, Still Writing, and it was just a fabulous book. And she had this watercolor image, and it was just, you know, she had these different parts, and I just thought it was really beautiful. And so I kind of wanted to do something like that. And so we started creating a cover like that. And the designer, one of the designers at She Writes Press, who was sort of one of the main designers, she looked at it and she's like, oh, this is just a slow drip to imitation. I don't want to be imitating Dani Shapiro's well-known book. And so Brooke said, well, you know, let's just like get out of this. Let's just try something completely new. And she went with a completely new designer. And she came up with this idea of looking out from inside of a hammock. And we just worked on it from there. And I love it. I think it's a beautiful cover. So
I love it too. And I was just, you know, in this hammock on the weekend, and the fun thing was that it was the view of that, you know, and laying there, I was just thinking, it's the perfect cover.
Great. No, it's fantastic. And so the hammock story is that 10 years ago, my husband and my daughter gave me one of the best gifts I've ever received in my life. It was a hammock. But the problem was I felt like there was nowhere to put the hammock. So we had this old shed on the side of the house. And so we demolished the shed, cleared the shed, we demolished the shed, we set up the spot. It was the perfect place for this hammock. And I loved it. And I, you know, for years there I was in my hammock. It was great. One day I went out to my hammock and something was different. I didn't know what it was, but it was bad. I looked up and I realized that my neighbor had cut this tree limb, the tree was on his property, but there was a hole in the fence and the limb extended through into our property. He cut the limb, and the limb was what provided the shade to my hammock. I was pissed. So I'm thinking like, what am I going to do about this? And I had my husband, he was great. He came up with all these ideas. Well, we could get a shade structure. Oh no, we can't get a shade structure because then I'll have to look at plastic instead of the sky. And he said, well, we'll plant something. I'm like, oh no, we can't plant anything because then, you know, it'll take years for it to grow large enough. And you know, he just came up with all these ideas and I kept shooting them down. No. And so for like 2 months, I didn't use my hammock. And then one day it was like the end of the summer and I was tired and I really wanted to go in my hammock. So I tore apart this redwood trellis and I dragged the hammock and I, you know, begrudgingly got into my hammock. And I looked up and I said, oh, this is beautiful. Why didn't I do this sooner? And I realized that I had this idea in my head that this was the way it had to be. This was the perfect spot. It had to look like this. And just as a side, I'll just mention that I have since found out, I move my hammock all the time now. And I have since found out that there isn't a bad place in my yard for my hammock. And the way that I tie this into my publishing experience is that I really thought that I had to have a traditional publishing deal to be a legitimate author. I thought that's what it had to look like. And once I realized that I could shift my perspective and look around, I thought, well, you know what? The view here in this indie publishing world, the She Writes Press, is pretty damn good. Yeah. And so now, you know, any obstacle that comes up in my life, I'll ask the question like, you know, do you need to move your hammock, Bella? In the book, I talk about my move your hammock moments. And so the acronym is move your hammock. It's MYHM, which means move your hammock moment. But it's also, I consider it my moment. Like, is there another way to look at this? Is my own thinking holding me captive and keeping me small?
It's really profound. And it's such a great metaphor. I mean, I remember when you proposed it and you're like, I think this is going to be the central metaphor of the book. I was like, wow, that really works, which I love, you know, and it carries through the whole book, which is a lot of fun. I want to get to Q&A from the audience as well, but wanted to ask you, there's a lot of chapters in the book. It's 5 parts. It's built some from your blogs, but not exclusively. You wrote new pieces. You spent a lot of time really thinking through. And so this is going to be a very hard question for you to answer, but if there's one piece of wisdom from this book that you would want to impart to other readers, and I think we should just assume that, you know, people here, many of them are publishing or want to publish. So sort of through that lens, what would that be?
That's a great question. And I think I can answer that pretty easily in maybe 3 parts.
Okay.
The first is just slow down, trust trust yourself, go out there and do what you have to do. And then if things don't work out the way you want them, like see if you can just let go of outcomes. Like just know that your part is to show up. Outcomes you can't control. So if things aren't unfolding the way you want them to be, ask yourself, okay, how can I move my hammock? How can I shift my perspective? And know that just because it's not working out the way you may have imagined it needed to, that doesn't define you. It doesn't define you. And it doesn't, it's not a comment on your worth or your talent or anything. So find another way.
That's awesome. Yeah, I love that. And I want to just welcome the questions because I think we are going to phase into that. One thing I do want to acknowledge, Bella, I said this earlier, but you are profoundly generous. You know, I just think in so many different ways. I mean, you credit other people, you write about other people, you give a lot of shout outs, you're constantly you know, there's just a real gift to others in that you see people, and I so appreciate that, and just wanted to, I think, more make a comment about how valuable, I mean, it is a trait, but I also think it's something that people can cultivate in being an author, you know, in being a writer. And so before I transition to asking the first questions, I mean, what is your insight on generosity, and is it just come so naturally to you, or is there a way that you kind of think about how you show up in the world?
Oh, that's such a great question. I was so excited when you said like you like to create your own questions, because for all my media interviews, they all want questions, right? So I write the questions. My publicist, you know, sends the questions to the, you know, so they ask me the questions that I wrote. And so I was so thrilled when you said, you know, I like to do my own. I had questions that I was going to send you, and then you sent me that, and I was like, oh great, I'm not going to send her. So that's great. So that was a little aside. So generosity of spirit. I have found that it has been the most challenging to be generous with myself. There's been so much self-talk that has been about not being good enough, and so much pushing myself to be perfect and to jump through. I refer to myself as a recovering perfectionist. So much pressure to achieve and to do, because I thought that the achieving and the doing would mean that I was okay, that somehow I had to prove myself. And it really was a misunderstanding. The truth is, you know, we're all the same, and we're not defined by our achievements. And we're all, I think we're all divine beings, spiritual beings having this human experience. And there is no, it's not a competition. We're here to experience what we can experience. So the learning how to be generous with myself has been the first challenge. And part of that has to do with cultivating mindfulness, has to do with being able to see the thinking that's going on in my mind that sabotages me. Mm-hmm. I don't see it all the time, but I see it a lot more than I used to. And when I can see it, it can't control me. So that's the first thing. In terms of being generous with others, that's always been easier for me, because when people show up in my classes and in my and as you know, coaching context, what I see is divine spirit. What I see is a divine presence. And it's funny because my very first coaching client, and this was like maybe 10 or 12 years ago, she wanted to self-publish. And she really wanted me to be her coach. And I didn't know anything about self-publishing. Not only didn't I know anything about it, but I kind of looked down my nose at it. You know, like I thought it was not a good thing to do. And of course, it's changed a lot over the last 12 years, right? Like mm-hmm. Self-publishing has just become, you know, such a viable option. But she went ahead, like despite, like that was the only area where I think as a coach, my vision was limited. Mm. But she held the vision, And so she just needed me to help her get the writing done and have accountability and support her emotionally and all that, which I love to do. But I realize now as a coach how I've grown, because I now realize, like, I don't care what you want to do with your writing. I don't care if you're using your writing if you're using it just to, I shouldn't say just, if you're writing because you want personal transformation and growth, I love that. I do that too. If you want to publish, there's lots of ways to publish, and I know lots of different people, and I can point you in the right direction. So it's really, I feel like I've grown a lot as a coach as well, because I now see this landscape is wide open.
Yeah, absolutely agreed. I'd love to just share this comment from Charmaine. She said, not being attached to book sales is so profound, not only for authors, but all artists whose art can be kind of historically has been so closely attached to the market. So completely agree with that. I think we both do. A great question here from Deborah. How did your degree in spiritual psychology affect your views about letting your creativity fall into a natural space in the universe?
It was huge. I went into that program in spiritual psychology. I was in my early 40s, and I just quite simply thought I had failed. I thought I was a failure. I have failed in my life. I have not done any of the things I wanted to do. I have all these books in my file cabinet that haven't gone anywhere. I failed as a dancer. I failed as a writer. I'm a failure. That's how I went into that program. And that program changed everything for me. One of the things about that program that's so cool is that every person, it's a 2-year program. It's very intense. It's 1 weekend a month for 2 years. And then there's a practicum and a retreat. And it's a really intense program. But the final project is you have to fulfill a heartfelt dream. And when you go about the process of trying to fulfill a heartfelt dream, every obstacle that can come up will. Most of the obstacles that come up, are projections. They're things inside of us that are unresolved, that are, they look like blockages, but the truth is they're opportunities. And when you learn to see the obstacles as opportunities and work with them, it's a game changer. So I've had my first book published through that. That was my project. Secrets of My Sex was my project. And it was an extraordinary, it was like jumping from one cliff to another and taking that leap of faith and just doing it. And then I discovered when I did it, wow, that's good. And every time I've done that maybe 3 or 4 times since. Every time I've taken a leap of faith, I've been rewarded. And the reward isn't necessarily fame or fortune. It doesn't look like that. But it does look like I'm happier. I'm freer. I'm doing what I love to do. I'm fulfilling my calling. I'm doing my part.
I love that. I want to share another comment from Rajika, one of our She Writes sisters. Bella has been so wonderful in guiding other authors and sharing her wisdom. She is incredibly generous with her time and helped me decide about publishing with She Writes. So that's cool. We're so happy to have you, Rajika.
Thank you, Rajika.
Let's see. So a question from Shelley. In order to play your teaching and coaching role and to use it in your writing, do you ever combat imposter syndrome? And if you do, how do you combat it?
I used to all the time. 10 years ago, that's where I was. I was living in fact, I thought, I really want, this is an interesting story. Thank you for this question. I love to teach. I love to meet people where they are. I see where they are, and I just know what to do to help them grow. I love to do that. That's like my God-given gift. Writing is something I had to really work at. I had to study it. I had to really work to learn my craft, but teaching is something that I love and it comes naturally. So 10 years ago, I thought, I really want to teach, but how can I be a writing teacher if I don't have a book out? And what I've learned since, so I put out my poetry books, partially because I really wanted to teach and coach. But what I've learned since is that maybe it gave me some credibility, I don't know, but the truth is it had, like, putting that book out, it was good in terms of finishing a book project, but it didn't really change anything in terms of how I teach or coach, because I knew how to do that. I just felt like I needed to have a book out to do that. And the truth is I didn't need to have, because they're completely separate skills. I've worked with teachers who were, famous writers who were terrible teachers. And I've worked with teachers who, weren't great writers, but they were great teachers. I think, who comes to mind is Natalie Goldberg, who wrote Writing Down the Bones and Wild Mind. Her early writing books were so influential for me, and I wasn't crazy about her fiction, but her writing books were like, she was a genius. So like, we have different strengths and weaknesses and challenges. And for me, the teaching and the coaching was always like, that was a place where I could meet people, and I just get it. Like, I understand, I can see what's holding people back, and I can help them move forward. And it's usually some psycho-spiritual thing. It's usually not a writing thing. It's usually something deeper. And that's actually where I love to work. I'm not really so crazy about editing, but I love to work with people on their internal issues, whatever is holding them back from really putting themselves out there. And that's where I get excited.
I love that. And can I just interpret a tiny bit, because I feel like what I'm taking away from what you're saying, because the question about imposter syndrome is like, yeah, in this one space, I did feel that way, but then you leaned into this thing that you knew you were really good at, kind of unwavering. And I think that's so important with imposter syndrome, because it does come in pockets. It comes in like, oh, it's showing up in this space. And if you can kind of outmaneuver it, you can matrix it a little bit.
I love what you just said. And I think that kind of like put a nice bow on what I was trying to say.
Yeah.
You kind of said it. So I love that you said that in that way. I want to add that imposter syndrome, if you look at it, it's still only just thought, right?
Right.
So it's like, if you're aware that you're having this thought, oh, I'm an imposter, I don't really belong here, you can say to that, what I do is I ask myself, is this a helpful thought, right? In the case of, I feel like an imposter, it's not. So if it's not a helpful thought, I'm going to just say, okay, look, I know that's how you feel, poor little imposter syndrome, Bella, but you know what? It's okay. I'm going to do this anyway. It's all right that you feel that way. I hear you. I get it. I love you. I have compassion for you. But you know what? I'm going to go ahead and do what I need to do anyway.
Yeah. And that can take some practice, clearly.
It definitely takes practice.
Yeah, I do love that though. Well, let's see. There's at least time for one more question, if not more. You tell me, because we have the raffle. So let me ask Cindy's question, and then you can consider whether we're moving on. And Cindy asks, seeing your own thoughts is very similar in practice to insight meditation. Do you practice meditation, and do you recommend others meditate?
This is like a trick question. I'll tell you why. Yes, I meditate, and I love to meditate. In terms of asking me what others should do, I say listen to your own wisdom. I also think that anything can be a meditation. That meditation is really just about full-bodied presence and full, being where you are. So I'm sitting in this chair, and I'm in this chair right now, and I'm with you, and I'm present, and I'm feeling the chair, and my mind is not imagining something else. I'm not go somewhere else with my thinking. That happens a lot, and my mind moves really fast. So I'm constantly having to slow down. So I just want to say that meditation, the way I define meditate, I do formal sitting meditation as well. I also do walking meditations and moving meditations and breathwork meditations. I do all of it just because I need it. No, the truth is I don't need it. That's the funny thing, is that I have a lot of thinking that says that I need to do these things to keep calm. But my essence, I believe this is true for all of us, deep down underneath all of our personal crazy thinking, whatever it might be, we are all just fine. So it's like, how do you access that place inside of you that is just fine because it's there?
Perfect. I love that. Would you like to transition to the next part here. I have the schedule that there's 10 minutes for, oh, maybe not, maybe just a few minutes actually. That's good to know. Okay, it looks like I can go until maybe a few more questions and then
okay.
we'll
I'm not paying any attention. I have no time. I'm just here with you, and I have you big on my screen. I'm like,
okay, perfect. And I also did want to acknowledge, because there was a couple questions about like, where do you buy the book and the link, this and that. So as Bella said at the beginning, you can buy the book wherever books are sold. I totally appreciate this comment from Carolyn that says, I'm just meeting you today for the first time. So impressed by your message and thrilled to be a She Writes sister with you. Ordered your book through Bookshop. And so I'm also going to put the Bookshop link. I'm a big fan of shopping on Bookshop. And that's like kind of the new indie alternative at the moment. It does take longer than Amazon, and it's very worth it.
Tell us why, Brooke.
I mean, I'm on a new anti-Amazon, rage at the moment. Normally I'm a little more, I think it's fine. People are going to shop on Amazon. As an author, you should always promote Amazon, but anyone who is paying attention can see that Amazon is a very destructive force in our country. And so if you then have a choice to shop elsewhere and you can put your buying dollars into another company, please do. And then also, especially for books, because Bookshop is supported by the indie book publishing community. And that is also important because Amazon doesn't, they're agnostic, right? I mean, if not malevolent. So Bookshop is where it's at. And yeah, you maybe wait a little more time. You might maybe pay a little bit extra, but you can also support your indie author community, and that's a big and important thing to do. So much more to say on all that, but yes, Bookshop. So let's see, there was a good question here about how you move a mental hammock. So the question elaborates, maybe you talk about more about this in the book, but if you're stuck, what can you do to move to a new space, emotionally, mentally, spiritually?
Well, there's so much I could say about this, but I'm gonna keep this very simple. If you're stuck, it's okay. It's gonna pass. It's not a permanent condition. So if you're stuck, you're stuck. Okay, so that's one answer. Another answer is be gentle with yourself. If you're stuck, grab your journal, grab a pen, and just write what's on your mind. And just don't think of it as doing any writing. Just kind of process what's going on. That's another great thing to do. And just know, I mean, I'm gonna stick with those two things. I'm gonna say it's okay, and then if it's not okay, or if you really want if you want a practice, journal writing is pretty much what keeps me grounded and honest and real. And without my journal, I don't know. My journal is I just go there and I just let myself. I have permission to say anything, and it doesn't have to be good. I just have to show up and let myself talk. Sometimes it's also really helpful to write a letter to your wise self, and let your wise self respond. And your wise self is also like this loving, maternal goddess figure for me anyway. And I just, soon after my mom died, I wrote her a series of letters, and then I had her write back to me. And I just listened to what she would tell me. And I did that when I was in the throes of grief. And so it was just an opportunity for me to be present with, a lot of times I don't know what's going on. Like when I'm stuck and when I'm in a bad place, happens less often now, but a lot of times it still happens. A lot of times I don't know why I'm stuck. I don't know why I'm in a funk, and it does not helpful to try to figure it out, because asking why is just kind of gets you don't know why. It doesn't matter why. So it's more like, how can I shift? And sometimes it's just like, it's writing in my journal, or it's moving my body, or talking to a friend, or just, listening to my own inner wisdom. Just sitting down and being quiet and listening and saying, listening for that wise voice inside that we all have.
Thanks, Bella. And let's have this final question from Fazia and then move to the raffle and wrapping. It says, Bella is an amazing collaborator. I completely agree. We love working with her. Could you talk about how you approach collaboration? It's so important, and I couldn't agree more. I mean, there really is like the difference between a successful and a problematic author lies oftentimes in collaboration.
Thank you for this question, Fazia. I love this question. So I think really, I really think a lot about the people that I choose to collaborate with. And well, no, let me say that differently. I can feel when there's a person that it's gonna, and not always, I mean, it's not 100%, but I try to just feel it in my gut. And when I'm thinking about who I want to collaborate with, like I knew that you'd been the editor at Seal. I've been reading Seal books for years. They were my favorite books. So I thought, how could this not be a good match? He's acquiring some of my favorite books that I've read over the last however long. So, and also I want to say something else. And this is, okay. So Brooke, I don't know if you remember this, but you recommended Fazia to me years ago when I was looking for a publicist for Raw. I reached out to Fazia, and for whatever reasons, like I knew I thought she was great. I could tell. I just felt it immediately. But I don't know. She didn't want to take on Raw, or I don't know what the reason was. It didn't matter. It was fine. It wasn't meant to be. But when this book was ready, I was like, I'm going to back up. I'm telling the story wrong. So I just knew that Fazia was someone that I really liked, and I appreciated her. I could feel it. So I thought, okay, I'm going to read her book. So I read her book, which is Online Marketing for Busy Authors. I'm sorry, I don't have it to show it up. It's an incredible book. I highly recommend it. And then I loved it. I thought, I was like, oh my God, she's even better than I thought. I read this book. I loved it. And then I wrote a little review of it and posted it on Instagram and like friended her on Instagram. And then she saw the review and she like wrote the most gracious response. And that was the beginning of a relationship that we had that lasted, it happened, it unfolded over a couple of years, we started getting to know each other through Instagram. So then by the time I was ready with my book for a publicist to reach out to someone, she knew who I was. I didn't just write to her and make demand. I mean, like I did not, maybe I did the first time, but what I'm trying to say is be patient and do something nice for someone else. Like if you admire someone, let them know, review their book on Amazon, go to their social sites and say something nice to them and, just like be generous. And I have just found that like, that's beautiful when that happens, because now I've been having the most incredible experience. Like I told Fazia a couple of days ago, I sent her an email and I said, honestly, I know that your company is busy, but honestly, I feel like I'm your only client because like you respond to me immediately. And I've never had, this is incredible. I mean, I actually did have a great experience with my last publicist, Sabrina. She was great too. But I know a lot of people don't. And I know that publicist author relationship can be fraught. And I write about an experience in my book where the first publicist that I picked, we had to break up. And it was, that's painful, especially when you're in the middle of your launch. But yeah, I mean, just like be generous because, everybody's struggling. Everybody's having a hard, you don't know what a person's going through in their life. You don't know what they're dealing with. You don't know what people in their family have died and what their problems are and their conflicts. It's like, be generous, make the world like a little bit nicer by just being kind.
Well, what a perfect note to end on, since that's really the heart of the book. There is so much generosity in this book, Bella. I feel like it needs to be a book that anyone who, whether you've already published, it will help you for your next book, or if you're a new author, it's such a gracious book that I feel like is kind of saying, here, let me immerse you in these somewhat warmer waters in this place that can be such a churning sea for so many people. So I'm excited to have it find its way.
Thank you so much, Brooke. And I really, I don't think I'd be here without you. I mean, I'm just so grateful.
Right back at you. So thank you. And we get to have a raffle.
Yes.
Oh, that's fun. I think you have to show the French flaps because that's the other
Oh,
thing.
yes. I'm very proud of this. I got this idea because Brooke, on her last book, Right On Sisters, she had these French flaps and I thought they were so beautiful. I wanted it too. So this is the inside.
Beautiful.
This is the inside flap. And this is the that back flap.
Yeah, just a little extra layer of class there.
Of beauty. I love it. I want to say something about the hammock gift. I understand, like, not all of you might actually want a hammock, like, I don't know. But so what I'm going to say about that gift is that whoever wins that gift basically wins a $200 gift certificate to I think it's wayfair.com. I think that's what it is.
Yeah.
Because I looked at their site and I saw that you can get a decent hammock for about $200. But if you don't want a hammock, they have lots of other stuff on their site. So you can buy yourself something else. You just need to send me the link to what you want. Your budget is $200 and then I'll order it and have it sent to you.
Oh my gosh. Who's going to win? I can't wait to see.
All right.
I can't be in the running.
So we've got our first winner. Excuse me. The first prize is a copy of Where Do You Hang Your Hammock?
Ta-da!
And our winner for that prize is Jin Kim.
Oh, Jen! Yay!
So Jin's video is off. Otherwise, I would spotlight him. So congratulations, Jin. We'll reach out to you, get your address, all of that information, and get that shipped out to you.
Thank you so much. That's awesome. I'm so glad it's going to Jen. Jen is a fabulous writer. She's a student and a client, and she's awesome. And she happens to be a neighbor as well.
There's a question in the Q&A from Carolyn. Carolyn, you entered the raffle just by registering for being here this evening and showing up. So we just picked randomly from the registration list for those who attended this evening. So our second prize is a copy of Brooke Warner's book, Right On Sisters.
I love this book. Brooke, do you have a copy you can hold up?
Obviously.
This book is so good. It's like not even reading a book in many ways. It's like just talking to someone who knows a lot of stuff that you need to know.
And our winner for that is Maria Pavone.
Oh yeah.
Thank you, Maria.
Maria is a dear writing friend from the poetry days.
Perfect.
Yeah, you're gonna love it, Maria. So happy for you.
Right on, sister.
And then our final grand prize, a $200 equivalent at wayfair.com and or Hammock. That is going to Rachel Koutnick.
Yay! And Rachel has a new apartment too. I don't know if there's room on your balcony for a hammock, Rachel, but you're gonna, oh yay! Rachel is, oh my God, she's writing an incredible memoir. She's been in my class for like, I don't know how many years, but she's writing an amazing book. So yay!
Congratulations, Rachel. Send a picture.
Send a picture, absolutely. That's awesome. Yay.
All right. So anybody else who would like one of the book plates or is purchasing the book tonight, please make a comment in the chat bar or reach out to us afterwards via email. We're not going to shut everybody off right away. You can hang out if you like for a few moments. We'll keep it running here. But it's going to be more relaxed and conversational. I'm going to allow everybody to unmute if they'd like to say a few things. So I'm going to give you all the ability to unmute yourselves now if you like. Congratulations to our winners.
Congratulations. I want to, for some reason, I want to see gallery view because I want to see everybody. For some reason, I'm seeing like all my emails opened up.
Oh.
I'm seeing gallery view when I hit gallery view. So
okay, view. Let me see.
Yes.
Okay. For some reason, my email thing is open and it has no close. I can't close it, but that's okay. All right, I have gallery view. So I'm seeing all of these great faces. Oh, it's so good to see you guys. Oh, thanks, Suzanne. Back at you. Oh, Ronnie, Beth. I mean, the great thing about having this be virtual is that, you know, people like my cousin Yana and my two sisters, Laura and Barbara, and Ronnie Beth on the East Coast, Betty in Oregon, my sister-in-law. I know Edie is here, Fazia down in Carlsbad. This is so awesome. Jonelle, my mastermind sister, she's in Canada. Tempe, where are you, Tempe? Where are you? Unmute yourself.
I'm here.
Tempe, where do you live, Tempe?
Menlo Park, California.
That's right. And Tempe has a book coming out. Tell me who's publishing this book and what this book is. Awesome.
It's a photo book about my grandmother and her wonderful photography from the teens through the 50s in Montana and Wyoming.
And who's publishing?
And the South Dakota Historical Society, first they said, it's too long and I don't like some of these parts, but would you redesign it? And I talked to Bella, and Bella said, they want to publish your book. We made it the way they want it. And so I did. And they accepted it. So I have a contract. So next year, maybe, you know, it's a photo book. It'll take a while to get it all laid out.
It's awesome. And I'm seeing, Tempe, thank you for sharing that. I love that.
You're welcome. Thank you.
I love what you've done and how far you've come. And I want to acknowledge Anna. Anna, you wave. She's been my publicist extraordinaire in the trenches every day, sending me all kinds of great stuff. And I see Tina, my dear friend Tina, wave your hand. Tina and I have been friends since college. We like to tease each other. She's like, we're sisters from another mother. And Inma too, Inma Moreland, dear, dear friend. And Tarni, student. And Marilyn, wow, it's nice to see you, Marilyn. Marilyn, wow, this is great. And Patricia Pierce, who I think lives in Pennsylvania, and Russell, hey, Russell. Russell is an incredible writer. He's been in my class for years. And I see Inma's shaking her head. She's heard Russell read a lot at my salons. And Kimberly, another amazing She Writes Press author. Hi, Betty, I love that background. It's great. So anybody have anything like, oh, hi, Yana. Anybody have anything they want to say?
I do, Bella. I was raising my hands because I want to just say something before I go, if you don't mind. I'm just so happy to be here. You two are like amazing people. In any case, I adore you both. I've known Brooke longer than I've known Bella, but I just wanted, first of all, I want to clear, I was just booked when you contacted me for Raw. Just the timing wasn't working. And then this time, I think you booked us like a year in advance. So
that's true.
You planned ahead. I loved you every time. But I do want to really circle back. Anna and I both are so grateful to be working with you. We work on a few other books, in case you were wondering, but you are amazing. And it's been such a joy to collaborate with you. And you didn't answer the question, which I asked, because you deflected it back to all of us and saying how great Brooke was and how great we were. But I want to just say, you know, collaborating with other people, it's not easy. And, you know, having that trust and letting people shine and do their best work is a gift. And I am grateful that you've given that gift to us, because I know Anna and I have loved working with you and having that freedom to, you know, create a wonderful campaign. But it is a collaboration, and I do want to thank you for it, because you're amazing at it. And thank you.
I really am taking that in. Thank you so much, Fazia.
You should take it in. I do have to run. This was amazing. Thank you, Brooke. Thank you, Bella. Love you guys. See you later.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Anybody else want to speak?
I wanted to read you a comment from your chat box in case you hadn't seen it, Bella.
I haven't seen any of the comments.
Ronnie Beth Tower says, Bella, from Ralph Waldo Emerson, to know that even one life has breathed easier because you have lived, this is to have succeeded. You have made many breathe easier. I need to sign off now.
Wow. Ronnie Beth. Oh my God. I have a quote from her in my book, in the first chapter, actually. She's incredible. She's an author and a psychologist, a retired Yale professor, I think. She's amazing. That's awesome. Thank you, Ronnie Beth. Yeah.
All right. Well, the chat has gotten kind of quiet.
Okay. Laura, you want to say anything? You're smiling.
Let's see if we can get you unmuted here, Laura. There you go.
Yeah, just soaking it all in. And I'm Bella's sister, one of her sisters, and I'm so proud of you. And we just moved to our new home in Virginia. I mean, in Florida within the last month. So I haven't really had a chance to pick the book up, but I do have my copy, and I'm looking forward to reading it and looking forward to many, many more books.
Thanks, Laura.
Love you.
Love you too. It's kind of cool that both my sisters really like my books. You don't always find that, like that doesn't always happen, but they both loved Aurora. And I guess, Barbara, you read this one, right? Tell us what your experience. Can we unmute Barbara?
Yes, 1 second here. Well, I'm going to send you a little prompt. It's going to say the host would like you to unmute, Barbara. You just go ahead and click on the button there. There you go.
Well, I loved Raw, and I'm not a reader. It took me about 2 weeks to read Raw. And this book I just finished 2 days ago. It took me 4 days. And it's fabulous. I mean, I was just doing some writing prompts, and I talked to a lot of people. Bella and I have a lot of similarities because I've been a teacher all my life. We just teach in different ways. But this book, I have neighbors wanting to read this book already. And I live in a retirement community. And this book was fabulous. And you're the best, Bella. You're the best.
Thank you. So are you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Awesome. Great to have you here.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you. Anybody else want to say anything before we say goodnight or goodbye? Farewell? Okay. Thank you all for being here to the bitter end.
It was great.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
For sure.
Looking forward to
Congratulations.
seeing you
Great.
in person soon.
Thank you. Thanks.
Great job.
Thank
Wonderful. Wonderful.
Oh, hi, Jim.
Hi, Jim.
I'm just now seeing you now that we're down to just a few. Great to see you.
I do want to hear Connie's voice just for fun.
Hi there.
Hi, Connie. How are you?
I'm doing well. I've been writing this week, so I'm doing fine.
Good. It's nice to see you. Connie and I are well connected in a couple of ways. Camp Scripts, and she's been in my writing classes, and she's been a writing client. Not only a writing client, but talk about a collaboration. She's been an outstanding writing client. I've loved working with you, Connie.
I have loved working with you, and I look forward to it. And I still want you to consider doing editing.
I might make an exception for you. We'll see.
Okay.
But honestly, I think there are better editors out there than me. I mean, no, let me back up and say
Maybe
this.
not.
I think I'm a very good developmental editor. Mm-hmm. I think that's a way that I can really be helpful. But in terms of I don't have the training. I'm not a copy editor. I'm not that kind of an editor, but I'm a good developmental editor. So I might be able to help you in that way.
I'll take what I can get.
Okay, and I want to make sure that you have the best people working with you. I want to make sure.
It'll be a while. It's a long story, as you know.
I know it's a long story. I know. But I'm happy that you're writing. That's great. Connie retired last year, the year before?
I retired during the pandemic. And yeah, wonderful time to retire. And then I set about getting everything in my house organized because we had done flooring, everything was packed up, so I had to deal with that. And then my hip started hurting me and I have to have a hip replacement. And so it's like everything that could distract me did. But finally, you know, I was writing, as I told you, some things about travel. And then this week I got back to my book.
Good. Excellent. Happy to hear that. I want to, since Kimberly is still here, I want to show you guys her book. Let's see, where is her book? I have it.
So Bella, I'm in a car. I don't know if it's clear, but I did actually want to say something because I was one of the lucky people. Can you hear me? Is it okay? Because I don't know if you hear me? Yeah. Okay, yeah. Great. Okay, great. I want to say that I was really lucky to be one of the first people to read Bella's advanced reader copy of Where Do You Hang Your Hammock? And I thoroughly enjoyed it. And it just resonated with me so much. And it was just the perfect companion book to someone who had a lot of angst while publishing. And I have to tell you, Bella, a huge thank you. I took my first bath in like 10 years. There's this one chapter where she talks about taking a bath and relaxing. And now I do everything that she said, the mantras. And so it's just such a beautiful book because it's so practical as far as, you know, how to publish, what to do, how, you know, to accept, you know, your own publishing route. And then it's also very spiritual and it's very beautiful. So I thoroughly enjoyed it. I was trying to read it with an editor's eye, but I would find that I was like 5-10 pages and I'm like, oh, I got to go back and look at it with an editor's eye. So I just thoroughly enjoyed it. And when before I signed with She Writes Press, I reached out to Bella and everything that Brooke said about being generous with her time. We met at a vegan restaurant. And she just, you know, really calmed my spirit and just made me realize that this was the right path for me. So thank you. Thank you, Brooke. And thank you, Bella.
Thank you, Kimberly. This is Kimberly's book, The Greek
I really appreciate it.
It's a beautiful book. And yeah, I sent my advanced reader, one of my advanced reader copies to Kimberly because she's a college professor. And when I gave her raw, she pointed out like mistakes that everybody had missed. So I thought she's the top of my list of people to ask for, you know, for proofreading. And you did a great job. Thank you so much, Kimberly. Yeah. Tina, you want to put your voice into this space? She's muted though.
We're going to send you a prompt here. Go ahead and click the button.
There we go. Hi.
Hi, Tina.
As I tried to text you that this is my very first time ever doing Zoom. So I feel really like I don't really know what I'm doing. So hello.
Wow, she's a virgin, ladies.
Yes.
A Zoom virgin. Wow, I love it.
That's right. Yep. So I just was afraid to touch anything, thinking I'd disconnect myself. But I can't wait to see the book, Bella. I know I see it in the background, but like to actually touch it. It's going to be very exciting.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'm very proud. Yeah, it's very cool. It's very cool. And it's nice to see everyone else that's been popping up. So yeah, it's very exciting.
Thank you. You're good to have you here. It warms my heart.
Wow.
And then
couldn't miss it.
And then I just want to invite Jim to say something.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, so nice to be part of this event, Bella, and so proud of you and congratulations. And the amount of publicity and interviews and the energy that you have about this project from day one has always been just a joyful kind of energy, and so nice to see it come into fruition and be part of the world. And you know, you're really riding the wave right now, and and it's great. And congratulations.
Thanks, Jim. None of it happens without you, that's for sure. You're just such a source of support and inspiration for me. Thank you.
Touche.
He's the best. He's the best. That is for sure.
Yep.
And your flowers look beautiful.
Thank you.
And they really do mesh with the colors. I'm sure it was planned, but it's beautiful.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because some of it wasn't planned. Like I did something that I did for the last time I published my book too is, and I've only done this for myself twice in my life, both times when I published a book. And what I do is I'll call the FTD and I'll order flowers and have them sent to me, like have them delivered. And then I'll write myself a love note.
Oh.
So these were the flower. I didn't really think about it. I actually sent a bouquet to me and a bouquet to both of my publicity ladies. And it was the same bouquet. And it was a bouquet that I had once sent Helen for her birthday. And the name of the bouquet is like Beautiful Spirit Bouquet. So I thought, okay, I'm just gonna, so I didn't really think about it. And then of course, Jim got me flowers. Oh, what a gorgeous arrangement of flowers. And the night of my my pub date, Jim set the flowers all on the table with the poster, and like you saw the pictures on Facebook. And Jim said, we should take this bouquet, the one that I ordered, and put it near the book, you know, to set up the shot so that, you know, because it's the same colors. And I hadn't realized that, but he was right. And then he helped me set up the shot, you know, the frame for what was going to be in it. And
yeah, it's perfect.
Thank you. Thank you. So
they're your colors.
And they are my colors. Absolutely. Tina knows. You know, it's funny. I had to tell this funny story. Sorry. That's okay. So I didn't know what I was going to wear. I actually bought a new pink top and a new green top, right? Because there's pink and green in the cover. And today Jim was helping me decide which top to wear. And put on the pink, it's okay. Put on the green, it's okay. And then I thought, like, I'm just gonna put on this white top, which wasn't a new top. It was just something I had in my closet, right? And then we both liked the white top. And then I looked at my book cover and I thought, oh, that's interesting. I guess I'm not the hammock and I'm not the trees. I'm the sky. So that was kind of fun.
Yeah, we're sort of like I was wearing my white and gray.
Yeah, and Barbara too. Barbara's got the white going.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Now I can relax. Have a glass of sparkling wine. Wonder if we have any sparkling wine.
I do.
I gotta sign off.
Okay, Laura.
All right. We'll talk soon.
Okay,
Love
great.
you. Bye. Good to see you, Tina.
Bye.
Bye. See ya.
Yeah, I've been off of alcohol because I've had like bladder issues for the whole year. But yeah. Monday night I did have a glass of sparkling wine with my dinner, and I didn't suffer any adverse effects. So I'm